The message came on a Tuesday morning when most of Earth was eating breakfast. Ambassador Dong Hyun was drinking tea in his office when every communication device in the building started making noise at the same time. Red lights flashed on every wall. People ran through the hallways shouting. Dong Hyun had been Earth's ambassador to nowhere for 20 years. Since the aliens refused to talk to Earth directly, his job was to study their messages to other worlds and try to understand their politics. But today was different. Today, the aliens were talking to Earth. The message was short and written in cold, simple words. Dong Hyun read it 3 times before he understood what it really meant. Then he picked up his phone and called President Hae-won. "They are going to kill us all," he said when she answered. 1 hour later, President Hae-won stood in front of the United Earth government. The room was full of leaders from every country on Earth. Some had flown across the world in just a few hours. Others appeared on screens because there was no time for them to travel. Hae-won was 55 years old and had been president for 6 years. She had gray hair and tired eyes, but her voice was strong when she spoke. "The Galactic Council has sent us an official message. I will read it exactly as they wrote it." She held up a piece of paper and began to read. "The planet designated Sol 3 has been deemed a potential threat to galactic stability. In accordance with Article 847 of the Galactic Preservation Code, preemptive pacification protocols will commence in 72 standard hours. Resistance is futile. Compliance will result in minimal casualties." The room exploded with angry voices. Representatives shouted in dozens of different languages. Some demanded to know why the aliens were doing this. Others wanted to know if Earth could negotiate. A few suggested surrender. Hae-won waited for the noise to die down. Then she spoke again. "I had our language experts study every word of this message. Pacification protocols does not mean they want to make us peaceful. It means they want to make us dead." The room became very quiet. Article 847 of the Galactic Preservation Code is their law for destroying entire species that they consider dangerous. They have used it 12 times before. No species that received this message has ever been seen again. A representative from Brazil raised his hand. "Can we talk to them? Can we explain that we are not dangerous?" Hae-won shook her head. "They have been watching us for 300 years. They have decided we are too violent to exist. Nothing we say will change their minds now." While the leaders argued on Earth, something else was happening on the moon. Deep in the hidden tunnels under the lunar surface, Chief Engineer Min-ho was running between control stations. People in spacesuits hurried past him carrying tools and equipment. Min-ho had worked on the moon for 30 years. He had helped build the secret factories and hidden shipyards that most of Earth did not know existed. Now all of that work was about to be tested. "How long do we need?" asked his assistant, Yoon-ji. Min-ho looked at the massive screens that covered the tunnel walls. Each screen showed a different part of the solar system. On some screens, he could see what looked like normal mining operations. On others, he could see what appeared to be simple research stations. But Min-ho knew the truth. Every one of those operations was actually a weapons factory or a shipyard. 12 hours to activate everything, Min-ho said. 24 hours to move all ships into position. 36 hours to be ready for battle. The aliens said we have 72 hours. That should be enough time. Min-ho pressed a button and alarms started ringing throughout the tunnel system. The sound meant one thing. Operation Breakout was beginning. Across the solar system, people who had waited their entire lives for this moment started working. On Mars, workers removed fake mining equipment to reveal massive weapons. In the asteroid belt, cargo ships opened like flowers to show the warships hidden inside them. Near Jupiter, research stations turned around to point powerful engines toward Earth. Captain Young-soo was commanding what everyone thought was a simple cargo ship near Saturn. The ship was old and slow and carried nothing but ice and frozen food. At least that was what the aliens believed when they scanned it. Young-soo was 42 years old and had been pretending to be a cargo captain for 15 years. It was boring work, but he knew it was important. His ship was one of 12,000 that were hidden throughout the solar system, waiting for this day. When the message came from Earth, Young-soo smiled for the first time in months. He walked to the cargo hold of his ship and pressed his hand against a hidden panel. The panel recognized his fingerprints and opened. Behind the panel was a red button. Young-soo pressed the button. The cargo ship began to change. The old dirty hull split open to reveal clean metal underneath. The slow engines shut down and new ones started up. Weapons appeared from hidden compartments. In just 10 minutes, the cargo ship became a destroyer capable of fighting alien warships. "This is Captain Young Su to all hidden units," he said into his radio. "The sheep is now a wolf. Repeat, the sheep is now a wolf." All across the solar system, other captains heard his message and smiled. It was code that meant the pretending was over. Earth's secret navy was waking up. Back on Earth, Admiral Ji-un was in the underground war room, watching screens that showed the entire solar system. Every few minutes, a new ship appeared on the screens as it revealed itself. "First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands, ma'am," said Commander Wu Jin from his station. "We have 9,000 ships ready for battle. 3,000 more will be ready in 6 hours." Ji-un nodded. The aliens probably had 50,000 ships or more in their combined fleets. But Ji-un was not worried about the numbers. She was thinking about something else. "Have the aliens noticed our ships yet?" she asked. "No, ma'am," said Lieutenant Hai-jin from the sensor station. "Their scouts are still outside the barrier. They cannot see inside our solar system." This was exactly what Ji-un had hoped for. The same barrier that had trapped Earth for 300 years was now hiding Earth's preparations. The aliens would not know what they were facing until it was too late to change their plans. "What about our weapons?" Ji-un asked. "All systems are working perfectly," reported Sung-min from the weapons station. "The new gravity cannons are ready. The quantum missiles are armed. The shield generators are at full power." Ji-un allowed herself a small smile. For 50 years, Earth scientists had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They had learned from alien mistakes and improved on alien designs. Now Earth's weapons were better than anything the aliens had. The door to the war room opened and President Haewon walked in. She looked tired but determined. "The world leaders have voted," she said. "We will fight." "Good," Ji-un replied. Because surrender was never really an option. Haewon looked at the screens showing thousands of Earth ships. "I never imagined we had so many. Most people did not know," Ji-un explained. "We had to keep it secret. If the aliens had discovered what we were building, they would have attacked years ago." "Are we ready?" Ji-un looked around the war room at all the people working at their stations. These men and women had trained their entire lives for this battle. They had studied alien tactics and weapons. They had practiced fighting against impossible odds. They were as ready as anyone could be. "Admiral," said Hyun-woo from his monitoring station, "the alien fleet is moving. They are approaching the barrier." On the main screen, thousands of red dots began moving toward Earth's solar system. The dots represented the largest military force ever assembled in the galaxy. The aliens were bringing enough ships to destroy 100 worlds, but they were about to discover that Earth was not like other worlds. "All ships. This is Admiral Ji-un," she said into her communications device. "In 1 hour, the barrier will fall. When it does, the aliens will see what we have built. They came here expecting to find a frightened, helpless world. Instead, they will find Earth's children ready to fight for their home." She paused and looked around the war room one more time. "For 300 years we have been silent. Today we roar." Fleet Commander Velox of the Zephyrian Empire had destroyed 17 worlds in his long career. He was good at his job, and his job was making sure that dangerous species never became a threat to the galaxy. Today should have been easy. Today he was going to destroy a primitive world that barely knew how to build rockets. Velox stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive ship called the Star Crusher. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. Through the main window, he could see hundreds of other ships from his fleet. Beyond them were the ships of the crystalline hegemony, glowing like jewels in the darkness. Further away were the dark vessels of the Apex Confederation. 200,000 ships. It was the largest combined fleet in galactic history. All of them were here to destroy one small world. "Commander," said his tactical officer, "we are approaching the human barrier." Velox nodded. The barrier had kept the humans trapped for 3 centuries. Soon it would fall, and his fleet would see what pathetic defenses the humans had built. Maybe a few dozen chemical rockets, maybe some nuclear weapons. Nothing that could threaten a real warship. "Drop the barrier," Velox ordered. The barrier flickered like lightning and then vanished. Space became clear between the alien fleet and Earth's solar system. Velox expected to see empty space with maybe a few small ships trying to run away. Instead, he saw something that made his blood freeze. Ships. Thousands and thousands of ships. They appeared from behind asteroids, rose up from planets, and emerged from what had looked like empty space. These were not the primitive rockets that Velox expected. These ships were sleek and deadly, with hulls that gleamed like mirrors and weapons that hummed with power. "How many?" Velox whispered. His tactical officer was staring at his screens with wide eyes. 12,000 confirmed, sir. Maybe more. They were hiding. On Earth, Admiral Ji-un watched the alien fleet through her sensors. 200,000 ships was more than she had hoped for, but not more than she had planned for. Earth's 12,000 ships were outnumbered, but they had advantages that the aliens did not know about yet. "Open a channel to the alien fleet," she ordered. Lieutenant Sung-min pressed buttons on his communication panel. "Channel open, ma'am." Ji-un stood up straight and looked directly into the camera that would broadcast her image to every alien ship. She was not afraid. She had been preparing for this moment her entire life. "Council Fleet, this is Admiral Ji-un of the Terran Navy. You came here to conduct what you call pacification protocols. We call it attempted murder of 8 billion innocent people. You believed Earth would stay silent while you destroyed our world. You were wrong." She paused to let her words sink in. "We have been watching you for 50 years. We know your tactics. We know your weaknesses. We know everything about you. But you know nothing about us. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake was coming here." Across space, Velox listened to the human's words with growing anger and fear. Fear because the human ships looked more advanced than anything he had seen before. Anger because this was supposed to be simple. "All ships, attack formation," he ordered. "Destroy them all." The alien fleet began to move. 200,000 ships arranging themselves for battle was a sight that had made entire civilizations surrender without fighting. The combined firepower could crack planets and boil oceans. But the humans did not run. Instead, the human fleet split apart like a flower opening. Some ships moved toward the asteroid belt. Others headed for the outer planets. Still more disappeared behind Earth's moon. It looked like they were running away in all directions. Velox smiled. "They are scattering. Easy targets now." He was wrong. Captain Seok-jin commanded a group of 12 human destroyers that had been hiding behind Jupiter. His ships were painted black to match the darkness of space. Their engines were silent and their weapons were charged. Seok-jin had studied Zephyrian battle tactics for 20 years. He knew that Velox would send his supply ships to the back of the formation, thinking they would be safe there. Those supply ships carried fuel and ammunition for the entire Zephyrian fleet. "Target the supply vessels," Seok-jin ordered his captains. "Hit them fast and hard, then disappear." His 12 ships moved like sharks through water. They approached the alien supply ships from an angle the aliens were not watching. When they were close enough, they fired. Human weapons were different from alien weapons. Instead of energy beams or explosive missiles, the humans used gravity itself as a weapon. The gravity cannons reached out and grabbed the alien supply ships, crushing them like tin cans. In 30 seconds, Seok-jin's ships destroyed 20 alien supply vessels. Then they vanished back into the darkness before the aliens could respond. Velox felt his ship shake as explosions lit up space behind him. What happened? "Our supply ships are under attack, sir. We have lost 20 vessels. By what? I do not see any human ships. They attacked and disappeared, sir. We cannot track them." This was not how battles were supposed to work. Enemies were supposed to line up and shoot at each other until one side was destroyed. They were not supposed to appear from nowhere, strike, and vanish. Commander Yu-jin was having similar success near Mars. She commanded a group of human carriers, ships that launched smaller fighter craft. The human fighters were tiny compared to alien warships, but they were fast and smart. Yu-jin's pilots had trained their entire lives for this battle. They knew how to fly in 3 dimensions using loops and spirals that made alien gunners dizzy. They knew how to work together like a school of fish moving as one mind. "Launch all fighters," Yu-jin ordered. 300 small ships poured out of her carriers like angry bees. They swarmed toward a group of crystalline hegemony vessels, moving too fast and in too many directions for the aliens to target them all. The crystalline ships fired their weapons, but the human fighters danced between the energy beams. Then the fighters fired back with weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Instead of trying to blow up the alien ships, the human weapons found the exact frequency that made crystalline hulls crack and shatter. In minutes, 12 crystalline warships broke apart like glass. Back on his flagship, Velox watched his fleet take damage from enemies he could barely see. The humans were fighting like no species he had ever encountered. They did not meet his fleet head-on. Instead, they attacked from unexpected angles, hit specific targets, and vanished before he could strike back. Sir, we are receiving reports from all sectors. The humans are attacking our command ships, our supply vessels, and our heavy cruisers. They seem to know exactly which ships to target. Velox realized the truth. The humans had been studying his fleet while it approached Earth. They had mapped every ship and identified the most important targets. When the battle started, they knew exactly where to strike to cause the most damage. How is this possible? He asked. They are primitives. His science officer looked up from her instruments. Sir, I am reading their weapon signatures. These are not primitive technologies. Some of their weapons are more advanced than ours. This was impossible. The humans had been trapped in their solar system for 3 centuries. How could they have developed better technology than civilizations that controlled thousands of star systems? The answer was simple, though Velox did not know it. While the aliens had spent centuries fighting each other and becoming comfortable with their power, the humans had spent those same centuries learning from everyone else's mistakes. Admiral Ji-eun watched the battle from her command center with calm satisfaction. The alien fleet was large and powerful, but it was also slow and predictable. Her ships were smaller and fewer, but they were smart and flexible. Status report, she ordered. We have destroyed 300 enemy ships, reported Commander Wu Jin. Our losses are minimal. What about their command structure? We have identified and attacked 47 command ships. Their fleet coordination is breaking down. This was exactly what Ji-eun had planned. The alien fleet was like a giant animal with a small brain. Cut the connections between the brain and the body, and the animal would thrash around without direction. Captain Inho was proving this point near Venus. His heavy cruiser had engaged a crystalline hegemony dreadnought that was 3 times larger. The alien captain expected Inho to ram his ship or fire missiles in a desperate attack. Instead, Inho used a tactic that no alien had ever seen. His ship generated a gravity field that reached inside the enemy dreadnought and pulled in different directions. The crystalline hull, so strong against energy weapons, cracked under the impossible stress. The massive alien ship broke apart from the inside out. All across the solar system, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships appeared where aliens did not expect them. Human weapons worked in ways that alien defenses could not stop. Human tactics confused alien commanders who had been fighting the same way for 1,000 years. For the first time in galactic history, a Council pacification fleet was not winning. They were not even breaking even. They were losing. Velox stared at his battle screens in growing panic. His fleet had lost over 1,000 ships in the first hour of battle. The humans had lost less than 50. At this rate, his mighty armada would be destroyed before it could even reach Earth. All ships fall back to defensive positions, he ordered. The second day of battle began with the aliens trying something new. Fleet Commander Velox had spent the night studying human attack patterns and thinking of ways to counter them. He decided to split his fleet into smaller groups that could support each other when the humans attacked. It was a good plan. It might have worked against any other enemy, but the humans had been preparing for this exact situation for 50 years. Commander Namjoon led Earth's stealth reconnaissance wing from a ship so black it seemed to swallow light. His job was to watch the alien fleet and report their movements before they could attack. For weeks before the battle, his invisible ships had mapped every alien vessel and identified their weaknesses. Now he watched the alien fleet split apart and smiled. They are making it easier for us, he told his crew. Namjoon's scouts had been studying the aliens for so long that they knew the alien commanders better than the aliens knew themselves. When Velox moved his supply ships to what he thought was a safe position, Namjoon already knew where they were going. Send word to Captain Seok Jin, Namjoon ordered. Tell him the Zephyrians are moving their fuel ships to Grid 77 Alpha. 20 minutes later, Seok Jin's destroyers appeared out of nowhere and destroyed 15 alien supply vessels before vanishing again. The aliens never saw them coming. This happened again and again. Every time the aliens tried a new tactic, the humans were already one step ahead. It was like playing chess against someone who could see all of your pieces but kept their own pieces hidden. On the bridge of his flagship, Velox was becoming desperate. His fleet had lost 3,000 ships in 2 days. The humans had lost less than 200. Sir, said his tactical officer, We are receiving a message from the Crystalline Hegemony Commander. She wants to coordinate a joint attack. Velox nodded. Commander Zelka of the Crystal Ships was known for her clever tactics. Maybe together they could find a way to defeat the humans. The message from Zelka was simple. Combine our fleets and charge directly at Earth. Use overwhelming force to break through their defenses. It was exactly the kind of direct attack that had worked against every other species in the galaxy. Velox agreed immediately. 6 hours later, 50,000 alien ships moved toward Earth in a massive formation. It was the most powerful attack force ever assembled. Their combined weapons could destroy continents. Their shields could resist any known weapon. Admiral Jiun watched them coming and felt something she had not expected. Sadness. The aliens were brave, and many of them probably believed they were doing the right thing. But they did not understand what they were facing. All defensive platforms, prepare to fire, she ordered. What the aliens saw as they approached Earth looked like a blue and white planet protected by a few orbital stations. What they did not see were the weapons that had been built into those stations over the past 50 years. Admiral Sumin commanded the defense of Earth from a station hidden behind the moon. Her platforms looked like simple mining equipment and communication satellites. In reality, they were the largest weapons ever built by humans. Target the center of their formation, she ordered her gunners. The defensive platforms opened fire, but these were not ordinary weapons. They used the same gravity technology as the human ships, but on a much larger scale. Instead of crushing individual ships, they reached out and grabbed entire sections of the alien fleet. Space itself seemed to bend and twist as gravity fields stronger than those found near black holes tore through the alien formation. Hundreds of alien ships were crushed instantly. Others were thrown off course and crashed into their own allies. Velox watched in horror as his perfectly organized attack turned into chaos. Ships spun out of control. Others simply vanished as gravity fields compressed them into tiny points of light. Retreat, he screamed into his communication device. All ships, retreat! But retreating from gravity weapons was not easy. The same fields that destroyed alien ships also made it hard for the surviving vessels to escape. They had to fight their way out of the gravity wells while human ships attacked them from all sides. Captain Kyung-soo had been waiting for this moment his entire life. He commanded a special assault ship filled with human marines in powered armor. While the alien fleet was trapped by the gravity weapons, his ship moved close to one of their command vessels. Prepare for boarding, he told his marines. The alien command ship was huge, built like a crystal palace floating in space. It held over 10,000 alien crew members and was protected by energy shields that could stop any normal attack. But Kyung-soo's ship was not normal. It used a special device that could open holes in energy shields by matching their exact frequency. The humans had learned this technique by studying alien communications for decades. A hole opened in the alien shields. Kyung-soo's ship flew through it and attached itself to the crystal hull like a parasite. Go, 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 Kyung-soo shouted. His marines poured through the hole in the alien ship's hull. They wore armor that made them look like metal monsters. Their weapons could cut through crystal walls like butter. Most important of all, they had trained for this exact situation in simulators that recreated every type of alien ship. The alien crew had never fought humans in close combat. They were used to fighting with energy beams from long distances. When armored humans appeared in their hallways, they did not know what to do. The battle inside the ship lasted only 30 minutes. When it was over, Kyung-soo stood on the alien bridge with the enemy commander as his prisoner. Tell your fleet to surrender, he said through a translation device. The alien commander, a crystalline being that looked like living glass, stared at him with eyes like diamonds. You cannot defeat the entire galaxy, human. More fleets will come? Kyung-soo smiled inside his helmet. Let them come. We will be ready. Back in space, the alien retreat was turning into a disaster. The gravity weapons had damaged their engines and destroyed their formation. Human ships appeared from all directions, hitting the aliens while they were confused and scattered. Commander Yoo-jin's fighters swarmed through the alien fleet like angry wasps. Her pilots had perfected a tactic they called the death spiral. Groups of fighters would fly in tight circles around alien ships, moving too fast to be hit while firing continuously at the same spot on the enemy hull. One by one, alien warships began to break apart under the concentrated fire. Captain In-ho's heavy cruiser found itself facing 5 enemy dreadnoughts at once. The aliens thought they had him trapped, but In-ho had studied their tactics for 20 years. He knew exactly what they would do. As the alien ships moved to surround him, In-ho fired his gravity cannon not at the ships, but at the space between them. The gravity field created a whirlpool effect that pulled the alien ships toward each other. They crashed together in a tangle of metal and crystal, destroying themselves. All across the battle zone, similar scenes were playing out. Human captains used tactics that the aliens had never seen. They turned the aliens' own formations against them. They used the environment of space itself as a weapon. Fleet Commander Velox realized that his great fleet was falling apart. In 3 days of battle, he had lost over 10,000 ships. His carefully planned attack had become a rout. Signal all remaining ships, he ordered with a heavy heart. Full retreat. Leave the system immediately. But even retreating was dangerous with the humans hunting them. Human ships followed the alien fleet to the edge of the solar system, attacking any vessel that fell behind or tried to turn back. Captain Young-soo, in his destroyer that had once looked like a cargo ship, pursued a group of fleeing Apex Confederation vessels. His ship was faster than anything the aliens had, and his weapons were more accurate. "This is for 300 years of imprisonment," he said as he fired. The alien ships exploded one by one as they tried to escape. By the end of the 4th day, the great alien fleet was scattered and broken. Less than half of their original ships remained, and those were damaged and demoralized. They limped away from Earth's solar system like wounded animals. Admiral Ji-eun stood in her command center, watching the alien retreat on her screens. Around her, her officers were cheering and celebrating, but Ji-eun was already thinking about what would happen next. "Send a message to all human ships," she ordered. "Well done. But this is only the beginning." Commander Woo-jin looked up from his station. "Ma'am, what do you mean?" Ji-eun pointed to a display that showed the entire galaxy. "The Council has thousands more ships scattered across hundreds of worlds. When they learn what happened here, they will send everything they have to destroy us." The celebration in the command center became quieter as people realized what this meant. "But we have proven something important today," Ji-eun continued. "We have shown the galaxy that Earth will not go quietly. We have shown them that humans can fight and win against impossible odds." She looked around at her officers, these men and women who had just won the most important battle in human history. "More than that, we have shown other species that the Council can be beaten. Soon, worlds that have been afraid to resist will find their courage. The galaxy is about to change, and we are the ones who will change it." Outside, in the cold darkness of space, Earth's 12,000 ships began to form new patterns. They were no longer hiding. 6 months after the Battle of Seoul, Captain Hyunwoo stood on the observation deck of humanity's first starship to travel beyond their home solar system. Through the thick windows, he could see something that no human had ever seen before. Alien cities on distant worlds, glowing like jewels against the darkness of space. The ship was called the New Horizon, and it was carrying refugees from 3 different worlds. These were people who had heard about Earth's victory and decided to escape from worlds controlled by the Galactic Council. They had risked everything to reach human space, hoping to find freedom. Hyunwoo still found it hard to believe how much had changed. 6 months ago, he had been watching sensor screens in an underground bunker, waiting for aliens to destroy his world. Now he was traveling between stars, helping other species find new homes. The war was far from over, but everything was different now. On Earth, President Haiwan sat in her office reading reports from across the galaxy. Every day brought new messages from worlds that wanted to join the growing alliance against the Council. Some were species that had been conquered long ago and never forgot their freedom. Others were Council member worlds that were tired of being told what to do. The most interesting message had come from the Veloci Collective, a group of bird-like creatures who had been allies of the Council for 200 years. They wanted to meet with human representatives to discuss changing sides. "What do you think?" Haewon asked Admiral Ji-eun, who was sitting across from her desk. Ji-eun studied the message carefully. She was older now, with lines around her eyes from months of planning battles and building alliances, but her voice was still strong and confident. "I think they are serious," she said. "The Veloci have always been practical. They join the side that they think will win. And they think we will win." Ji-eun smiled. "After what happened at Seoul, half the galaxy thinks we might win. The other half is too scared to admit it. The Battle of Sol had been more than a military victory. It had been proof that the Council could be defeated. For thousands of years, species had believed that the Council was too powerful to resist. Now they knew better. But victory had come with costs. Earth's fleet had lost over 800 ships and 15,000 crew members. Entire families had been destroyed. Cities had mourned their dead for weeks. More importantly, Earth was now a target. The Council would never forgive what humanity had done. They would send larger fleets, more powerful weapons, and smarter commanders. The next battle would be even harder. Admiral Ji-un understood this better than anyone. She spent her days planning defenses for a dozen different star systems. She studied reports from spies who had infiltrated Council worlds. She met with alien leaders who wanted to discuss military cooperation. Her biggest challenge was not military, though. It was political. "We have 17 different species asking to join our alliance," she told President Haewon. "Each one has different needs and different enemies. Some of them hate each other." Haewon nodded. This was the problem with fighting an empire that controlled half the galaxy. Anyone who opposed the Council had to work together, even if they had nothing else in common. "What about the singing crystals of Harmonious?" Haewon asked. "Are they still interested in a trade agreement?" "Yes, but they want us to guarantee protection from the Zephyrian Empire. That means we might have to fight Velox again." The name made both women pause. Fleet Commander Velox had survived the Battle of Sol and was now commanding a new fleet somewhere in Council space. Intelligence reports suggested he was planning revenge against Earth. Meanwhile, on a hidden base near Jupiter, Chief Engineer Minho was solving different problems. His job was to build more ships and better weapons faster than the Council could respond. "How many new ships can we finish this month?" asked his assistant. Yoonji Minho looked at the production reports from factories across the solar system. 200 ships if we work day and night. But we need more rare metals for the gravity cannons." This was the challenge of building a space navy from nothing. Earth had plenty of iron and carbon, but the advanced weapons needed materials that were rare in their solar system. They were getting some supplies from allied worlds, but it was not enough. "The Veloci are offering to trade rare metals for protection," Yoonji said. "Should we accept?" Minho considered this. The Veloci Collective controlled several mining worlds with materials that Earth needed desperately. But accepting their offer would mean defending those worlds from Council attacks. "Talk to Admiral Ji-un," he decided. This is bigger than just engineering. In another part of the solar system, Commander Nam Jun was leading a different kind of mission. His stealth ships were traveling to Council worlds, gathering intelligence and making contact with resistance groups. Nam Jun's latest mission had taken him to a world called Keth Prime, where a species of amphibian-like creatures had been enslaved by the Council 50 years earlier. The Keth had once been great engineers and scientists, but now they were forced to build weapons for their conquerors. "We want to help you fight," the Keth leader had told Nam Jun through a translator. "But we have no ships, no weapons. The Council took everything." Nam Jun had studied the planet's industrial capacity. Even under Council control, the Keth were still building advanced technology. With human help, they could build ships for the Resistance instead of weapons for the Council. "We can provide you with plans for our gravity weapons," Nam Jun had offered. "In exchange, you help us build ships using your industrial facilities." The Keth leader's eyes had glowed with hope. It was the first real chance for freedom his people had seen in decades. Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. On every Council world, there were species that remembered freedom and wanted it back. The Battle of Sol had given them hope, but they needed more than hope. They needed ships, weapons, and training. Captain Young-soo found himself in charge of training alien pilots to fly human-designed fighters. It was harder than he had expected. Different species had different reflexes, different ways of thinking about three-dimensional combat. The Veloci pilots were the best. Their bird-like ancestors had given them natural instincts for flying. They learned human tactics quickly and added their own improvements. The crystalline beings from Harmonious were more challenging. They thought in mathematical patterns and had trouble with the improvisation that made human pilots effective. But once they learned a tactic, they executed it perfectly every time. "The key," Young-soo told his instructors, "is not to make them fight like humans. It is to help them fight like themselves, but with human weapons and human coordination." Back on Earth, So Young was working on an even more difficult problem. As head of alien relations, she had to figure out how to build an alliance between species that had completely different cultures, values, and ways of communicating. The Veloci valued efficiency and practical results. The singing crystals valued harmony and consensus. The Keth valued knowledge and innovation. The human refugees from various worlds valued safety and freedom. Getting them all to work together was like trying to conduct an orchestra, where every musician played a different type of instrument and read music in a different language. "We need to find common ground," she told her staff during a planning meeting. "Something that all these species can agree on." "What about opposition to the council?" suggested one of her assistants. So Young shook her head. "That is what brought us together, but it is not enough to keep us together. We need something positive to build toward, not just something negative to fight against." The answer came from an unexpected source. A group of young people from different allied species had started meeting in virtual reality environments to play games and share stories. They had created their own universal language that mixed elements from dozens of different cultures. "They are building the future," So Young realized. "While we adults worry about politics and military strategy, they are creating the foundation of a truly galactic civilization." This gave her an idea. Instead of trying to force different species to adopt human ways or alien ways, why not create something new that everyone could contribute to? The first Galactic Freedom Conference was held 6 months after the Battle of Sol. Representatives from 47 different worlds met on a neutral space station to discuss the future. Some attended in person. Others joined through holographic projections. A few communicated through methods that humans were still trying to understand. President Haywan gave the opening speech. "We are not here to build a new empire to replace the old one. We are here to build something that has never existed before. A truly free galaxy where every species can choose its own path." The conference lasted 3 weeks. There were arguments, misunderstandings, and moments when everything seemed hopeless. But slowly, carefully, the foundation of a new alliance began to take shape. Admiral Ji-un presented the military situation. The Council still controls 2/3 of the galaxy. They have rebuilt their fleets and are planning new attacks. "If we want to survive, we must work together." Chief Engineer Minho discussed technological cooperation. Every species has knowledge that others need. The Veloci understand gravity manipulation. The Keth know advanced manufacturing. The crystals have mastered energy resonance. Captain Lee Minho stood at the massive window of the space station called Harmony's End. He watched hundreds of alien ships floating in the darkness of space. Each ship looked different. Some were long and thin like needles. Others were round like balls. A few looked like giant crystals that sparkled with their own light. Minho was the only human on this station. He wore his best uniform with all his medals. His black hair was cut short and neat. His dark eyes showed no fear, even though he knew why he was here. Today, 847 different alien species would vote on what to do with Earth, and Minho was pretty sure the vote would not go well for his people. Dr. Park So-min walked up beside him. She was shorter than Minho and wore a simple blue dress that looked out of place among all the strange alien clothes. Her long hair was tied back in a tight bun. She carried a small computer tablet in her hands. "The meeting starts in 1 hour," So-min said quietly. "Are you ready?" Minho nodded. "As ready as anyone can be to watch their entire planet get judged by aliens." So-min looked at her tablet. "I've been studying their files all night. Most of these species are older than humans by millions of years. They've seen civilizations rise and fall. They think they know everything." "What do they know about us?" Minho asked. "Too much and not enough," So-min replied. "They know about our wars. They know we polluted our planet for hundreds of years. They know we fight each other over stupid things. But they don't know why we changed. They don't know how we learned to work together." Minho turned away from the window. The main council chamber was enormous. It could hold thousands of beings. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Alien representatives were already taking their places. Some floated in tanks of liquid. Others stood on platforms that moved through the air. A few needed special suits to breathe. The Velkari ambassador was easy to spot. He was tall and thin with blue skin that looked like metal. His people were known for being warriors. They had conquered dozens of planets before joining the Galactic Council. Near the center sat the Kethron representatives. They looked like walking crystals made of purple glass. Light moved through their bodies like blood moves through human veins. The Kethrons were famous for their computers and math skills. If they said something was mathematically certain, other species listened. The Morphids were harder to see. They were made of gas and lived on planets with thick atmospheres. They appeared as shifting clouds of green and yellow mist inside special containers. No one really understood how they thought, but they were very old and supposedly very wise. As more aliens arrived, Minho noticed something strange. Many of them looked nervous. They kept looking around as if they were afraid of something. Their movements seemed quick and worried, not calm like beings making a simple decision. "Dr. Somin," Minho whispered. "Look at them. Do they seem scared to you?" Somin studied the gathering aliens. "You're right. This doesn't look like a confident group making an easy choice. This looks like a group of people who are afraid of something else." A deep sound filled the chamber. It was like a bell made of thunder. All conversation stopped. A figure appeared on a platform in the center of the room. It was the council speaker, an ancient being that looked like a tree made of silver metal. Its voice came from everywhere at once. "The Galactic Council is now in session. Today we decide the fate of the species known as humans, from the planet called Earth in the Sol system." Minho felt his heart beating fast. This was it. The speaker continued. "The charge is simple. Humans are too dangerous to remain free in the galaxy. They must be controlled or removed. We will hear arguments, then vote." The Velkari ambassador stood first. His metallic voice echoed through the chamber. "Honored beings, humans are a threat to galactic peace. In their short history, they have fought over 14,000 wars. They destroyed their own environment. They created weapons that could kill their entire planet. Now they reach for the stars. What will they do when they have our technology? When they have our weapons?" Murmurs of agreement came from many species. Some aliens nodded their heads or made gestures that meant the same thing. A Kethron representative spoke next. Its crystal body flashed with different colors as it talked. "We have run the calculations. Human expansion patterns show aggressive tendencies. If left unchecked, humans will colonize 847 star systems within 200 years. They will compete with existing species for resources. Mathematical models show a 73.6% chance of major galactic conflict within 500 years if humans remain free." More aliens showed agreement. Minho felt sick to his stomach. They were talking about his people like they were a disease that needed to be cured. The Morphid representative spoke in a voice like wind through leaves. "Humans think differently than other species. Most civilizations develop collective consciousness as they advance. They learn to think as one people. Humans remain individuals. This makes them unpredictable. Unpredictable species are dangerous species." Now it was Minho's turn. He stood up slowly and walked to the speaking platform. All eyes, sensors, and other alien detection organs focused on him. The chamber was completely silent. "Honored beings," Minho began. "You judge us by our past, but you ignore our growth. Yes, we fought wars. Yes, we made mistakes. But we learned. When we finally reached the stars, we came in peace. We asked to join your community. We offered to share our knowledge and learn from yours." He paused and looked around the chamber. "You say we are dangerous because we are individuals. But isn't that what makes us valuable? Every human sees the galaxy differently. Every human has new ideas. We don't all think the same thoughts. We create art, music, and stories that no other species makes. We solve problems in ways no one else imagines. Some aliens seemed to listen, but most looked unmoved." Minho continued. "You fear what we might become, but you should hope for what we could become together. Humans don't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to explore it. We want to learn from it. We want to be part of it." Dr. Somin watched the alien faces. She could see that Minho's words weren't changing any minds. The decision had already been made before the meeting started. The speaker called for the vote. "All in favor of enslaving the human species?" Lights began appearing around the chamber. Each light meant one species voting yes. Minho watched in horror as more and more lights appeared. The Velkari voted yes. The Kethrans voted yes. The Morphids voted yes. Species after species voted to enslave his people. When the counting ended, the result was clear. 847 species had voted. 847 species voted yes. 0 voted no. The vote is unanimous, the speaker announced. The human species will be enslaved. They have 30 standard days to surrender completely. If they resist, their planet will be destroyed. Minho felt like he couldn't breathe. Dr. Soman put her hand on his shoulder, but she looked just as shocked. As aliens began leaving the chamber, Minho noticed something that made his detective instincts wake up. Many of the aliens didn't look happy about their vote. They looked relieved, like people who had just avoided something terrible. Some were talking in small groups, their body language showing fear, not victory. Dr. Soman noticed it too. Captain, this doesn't make sense. A unanimous vote on something this big? And look at them. They're not celebrating. They're acting like they just saved themselves from something worse than humans. Minho nodded. Something else is going on here. This vote wasn't about us being dangerous. This vote was about them being afraid of something else. As they walked back to their small human quarters on the station, Minho felt a strange mix of emotions. Yes, his species had just been condemned to slavery or death, but he also felt like they had just discovered something important. Whatever was really happening here, it was bigger than Earth. It was bigger than humans, and if there was one thing humans were good at, it was fighting things bigger than themselves. The message would reach Earth in 6 hours. Humanity would have 30 days to surrender or face total war with 847 alien species. But as Captain Lee Minho looked out at the alien fleet beginning to form outside the station, he wondered if his people back home were as unprepared as these aliens thought. Something told him they were about to find out.